There is a plant growing in gardens across the United Kingdom right now that can crack through concrete, destroy the foundations of your home, and wipe tens of thousands of pounds off your property value overnight. Banks will refuse to give you a mortgage if they find it. Buyers will walk away from the sale without a second thought. Contractors in hazmat suits will charge you thousands just to dig it out. And here is the part that nobody talks about. That same plant, the one homeowners spend fortunes trying to kill, contains the single richest natural source of an anti-aging compound that has dermatologists, longevity scientists, and skincare companies absolutely losing their minds. It is called Japanese knotweed, and by the end of this, you will understand why it is simultaneously one of the most feared and most valuable plants on Earth. The story starts in the 1850s, when a plant called Rhinutria japonica was shipped from the volcanic slopes of Japan to the manicured estates of Victorian England. It was exotic. It was beautiful. It had elegant heart-shaped leaves and clusters of creamy white flowers, and wealthy garden enthusiasts planted it as an ornamental curiosity, a conversation piece to impress guests at garden parties. Nobody had any idea what they were unleashing. Because back in Japan, this plant had spent thousands of years held in check by native insects, fungi, and competing species. An entire ecosystem had evolved to keep it balanced, to stop it from taking over. But in Britain, in Europe, in North America, it arrived with none of those natural controls. Nothing ate it, nothing competed with it, nothing slowed it down. And it grew. It grew like nothing anyone had ever seen. During peak growing season, Japanese knotweed can push upward at a rate of 20 centimeters a day. That is roughly 8 inches in 24 hours. By midsummer, it towers 3 meters tall, dwarfing garden fences and blocking out sunlight for everything growing beneath it. But height is not what makes it terrifying. What makes it terrifying is what happens underground. The root system, called a rhizome network, spreads laterally in every direction, sometimes extending 7 meters from the visible plant. These roots are relentless. They grow through cracks in concrete, they push through asphalt, they infiltrate drainage pipes, retaining walls and building foundations, splitting apart structures that took years and thousands of pounds to build. And here is the detail that keeps property owners awake at night. A piece of root the size of your fingernail, a fragment smaller than a coin, can regenerate an entire plant. A complete, fully functioning organism from a scrap of tissue you could miss with your bare eyes. This is why removal is so brutal and so expensive. Professional contractors do not just pull the plant out of the ground, they excavate meters underground, sifting through soil to find every last fragment of rhizome. Because if they miss even one piece, the entire plant comes back. It is like trying to remove every grain of sand from a beach. In the United Kingdom, it is actually illegal to plant Japanese knotweed or cause it to spread under the Wildlife and Countryside Act. You can be prosecuted for letting it creep onto a neighbor's land. That is how seriously the law takes this single species. And yet, despite all of that effort, despite the legal framework, the hazmat suits, and the industrial herbicide treatments, the plant keeps spreading. Because that is what it was designed to do over millions of years of evolution. It is a survivor on a scale that most of us cannot comprehend. But the survival of Japanese knotweed is not just a gardening problem. It is a financial catastrophe, and this is where the story takes a turn that most people never expect. Japanese knotweed has wiped an estimated £21.4 billion off UK property values. Not million, billion. Over 1.5 million homes across the country are affected. If a single plant is found growing on or near a property, the sale price drops by 10 to 15% immediately. On an average UK home, that translates to roughly £13,500 to £23,500, gone because of a weed. And it gets worse. 32% of prospective buyers will not touch a property with knotweed under any circumstances. They see it on the survey, and they walk away. No negotiation, no discount, no second viewing. They are simply gone. This is why banks care. Mortgage lenders are not in the business of funding properties that might be unsellable in 5 years. If a surveyor identifies Japanese knotweed, the lender will typically refuse to approve the mortgage unless the seller can produce a professional removal plan backed by an insurance guarantee. That plan alone costs between £2,500 and over £10,000, and it does not guarantee the plant will not return. Surveyors now use a formal severity scale developed by the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, grading infestations from Category A down to Category D, depending on how close the plant is to habitable structures and how established the root system has become. A Category A rating, where knotweed is found within the boundary of the property and within 7 meters of a building, can make a home effectively unmortgageable. Sellers are legally required to disclose knotweed on the TA6 property information form, and failure to do so has led to lawsuits, collapsed sales, and in some cases criminal proceedings. Estate agents dread the word knotweed the way doctors dread the word malpractice. The knotweed removal industry now costs the UK economy an estimated £246.5 million every single year. That figure has increased by 135% since 2010, and it shows no sign of slowing down. There are entire companies, entire careers, entire legal specialisms built around this one plant. And while all of that money is being spent trying to kill it, something remarkable is happening on the other side of the equation. Because inside the roots of Japanese knotweed, locked away in the very tissue that homeowners are paying thousands to destroy, is a compound that the skincare and longevity industries consider genuinely precious. It is called resveratrol, and if you have heard of it, you probably associate it with red wine. That is the popular version of the story. Drink red wine, get the anti-aging benefits of resveratrol, live longer. But here is what the wine marketing never mentions. A glass of red wine contains less than 1 to 2 milligrams of resveratrol. That is a trace amount. The root of Japanese knotweed contains 20 to 50 times more resveratrol than any other part of the plant, and dramatically more than red wine grapes. In fact, virtually every resveratrol supplement on the market today, every capsule sitting on every health food store shelf, is derived from Japanese knotweed root extract. Not grapes, not berries. The weed that destroys houses. And the science behind what resveratrol actually does to skin is where this story becomes genuinely extraordinary. Your skin loses firmness and elasticity over time because of enzymes called MMP1 and MMP3. These enzymes break down collagen and elastin, the structural proteins that keep your face looking like your face. This is the same fundamental process that Botox addresses cosmetically, though through a completely different mechanism. Botox paralyzes muscles to reduce the appearance of wrinkles on the surface. Resveratrol works at the cellular level, blocking the enzymes that cause the damage in the first place, and stimulating new collagen synthesis through multiple independent biochemical pathways. It is not masking the problem. It is addressing the root cause, but it does not stop there. Resveratrol also inhibits something called advanced glycation end products, spelled AGES. These are reactions between sugars and proteins in your body that accumulate over time and cause the deep structural wrinkling and loss of firmness that no amount of moisturizer can fix. On top of that, resveratrol activates a protein called sirtuin-1, sometimes referred to as the longevity gene. When sirtuin-1 switches on, it triggers a process called autophagy, which is essentially your cell's cleaning house, recycling damaged proteins, and clearing out cellular debris that accumulates with age. This is the exact same pathway that gets activated during caloric restriction and fasting. the mechanisms that longevity researchers have been studying for decades. Japanese knotweed root extract activates it chemically. And the clinical evidence is mounting. An 8-week randomized placebo-controlled trial published in Frontiers in Aging in 2025 demonstrated that combined oral and topical resveratrol significantly reduced wrinkle depth scores in women over 40. A separate 12-week trial measured improvements in skin firmness, elasticity, fine lines, hyperpigmentation, and overall radiance. And unlike retinoids, the other gold standard in anti-aging skincare, resveratrol achieves these results without the irritation, peeling, redness, and extreme sun sensitivity that make retinol so difficult for many people to use consistently. You do not need to build up a tolerance. You do not need to hide from sunlight for weeks while your skin adjusts. It simply works at the cellular level, quietly and without drama. The skincare industry knows all of this, and they are charging accordingly. Premium serums and supplements containing resveratrol, extracted from Japanese knotweed root, now command significant prices in the luxury beauty market. The same compound, from the same plant, that is being ripped from gardens at enormous expense, is being bottled, branded, and sold back to consumers at a markup that would make any economist raise an eyebrow. It is one of the great ironies of modern commerce. And this is the part of the story that stays with you. Japanese knotweed is not good or bad. It is both simultaneously, depending entirely on context. In your garden, it is a catastrophe. In a laboratory, it is a commodity. Homeowners in protective gear and skincare scientists in white coats are both obsessed with the same plant, approaching it from opposite directions, spending enormous sums for entirely opposite reasons. One is trying to destroy every last fragment. The other is trying to extract every last molecule. The knotweed removal industry and the knotweed extraction industry are both booming, both worth billions, both growing every year. They are mirror images of each other, built on the same organism, driven by the same biological properties, arriving at completely different conclusions about what those properties are worth. There is something almost philosophical in that. We draw hard lines between what is a weed and what is medicine, what is a pest and what is a resource. But nature does not recognize those categories. Japanese knotweed does not know that it is invasive. It does not know that it is valuable. It does not care about property prices or skincare routines or mortgage applications. It just grows. It pushes through concrete, and it synthesizes resveratrol, and it spreads its roots in every direction, because that is what 3 million years of evolution shaped it to do. The meaning we assign to it, catastrophe or gold mine, destroyer or healer, is entirely ours. The most hated weed on the planet might genuinely be one of the best things that ever happened to your skin. Whether you are pulling it from your garden or putting it on your face, you are dealing with the same remarkable organism. And if that does not make you look at the plants around you a little differently, nothing will. If you found this fascinating, there are more stories like this hiding in ordinary gardens, plants we overlook, ignore, or destroy that turn out to be quietly extraordinary. Stick around, because the next one might change the way you think about what is growing right outside your door.